Hi everyone, it's more Viva and Shoko. Today we are going to be learning the Parsha. Right now we are in Sefer Vayikra. Vayikra is the third book in the Torah. This week we have two Parshiot. It's a double Parsha. That's so special. And we have Acharei and Kedoshim. Enjoy. Parshat Acharei. Of all the days of the Jewish year, there is but one day that we hold most dear. Yom Kippur is a fast day, one of atonement from all sins, a day when a fresh new page we can begin. Yom Kippur night, the holiest night of the year, the Kohen Gadol sat in his room in the Beit HaMikdash learning Torah with Talmidei Chachamim. Together with him in the room were a number of Kohanim, whose job it was to make sure the Kohen Gadol did not fall asleep on his very important night. If they would see the Kohen Gadol beginning to doze off, they would snap their fingers very loudly to wake him up. The first rays of the morning sun shone as the Beit HaMikdash began to fill up with people who had come to see the Kohen Gadol doing his special avodah of Yom Kippur. The Beit HaMikdash soon became very crowded as more and more people entered. The Kohen Gadol was wearing all 8 of the special garments that only he as a Kohen Gadol could wear. First, like he did on every day of the year, he lit the candles of the big golden menorah. Then he took off his clothing and put on white clothing that had been made especially for the holy day of Yom Kippur. There was not a sound to be heard as the Kohen Gadol began to offer up the korbanot of Yom Kippur. The Kohen Gadol davened to Hashem to forgive the Jews for any averot that they might have done. Please, Hashem, he begged, forgive your people for all the averot they have committed. The Kohen Gadol announced the name of Hashem in an extremely loud voice. Everyone was able to hear it. All the Kohanim and the people who were standing and watching, and even all the people in Yerushalayim. Everyone immediately bowed down out of respect and fear of Hashem's holy name. And can you imagine, even though there were so many people, each one still had enough room to bow down? It was truly a greatness from Hashem. The 2 identical goats were kept in the Beit HaMikdash. One of them was brought up on the Mizbeach by the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, and the other one was taken away by the Kohen, who was accompanied by 2 important people to a place called Azazel. Azazel is a place in the desert atop a mighty and very high rocky mountain. When the Kohen Gadol arrived at the head of the mountain, he threw the goat down, and the goat immediately passed away, and the Kohen Gadol called out, "This is what should happen to all the averot of Am Yisrael." There was one place in the Beit HaMikdash that was extremely holy, holier than any other place. It was named the Kodesh HaKedoshim. No one was allowed to enter the Kodesh HaKedoshim besides the Kohen Gadol, who was allowed to enter only once a year on Yom Kippur. When he went in, all the Jews stood and watched fearfully, knowing that the Kohen Gadol was davening to Hashem to forgive them and give them a good new year. There was a red string hanging in the Beit HaMikdash, which turned white if the Jews had done complete teshuvah and Hashem forgave them. The joy was very great on Motzei Yom Kippur, as all the people accompanied the Kohen Gadol to his home, holding torches in their hands. The windows of all the houses were decorated with lights. Everyone tried to get close to the Kohen Gadol in order to be able to kiss his hand. A big meal was served in the Kohen Gadol's house. Everyone was happy that he was able to serve Hashem in the right way and that Hashem had forgiven them. Sadly, today there's no Beis HaMikdash. So, the tefillah takes the place of the korbanos. We fast on Yom Kippur and spend the whole day davening and doing teshuvah. Our biggest hope is that Hashem will forgive everybody and build the Beit HaMikdash very soon. Parshat Kedoshim. The Torah is our guideline. It tells us what to do in order to behave like a righteous Jew. Be holy is a command which we must obey, and remember it too throughout the day. When you speak to a friend, a sister, or brother, say only nice things. Leave out any other. Speak only the truth. Forget lashon hara. Talk respectfully to your parents and your mora. Pay a compliment. It won't cost you any money. When you see someone sad, cheer them up with something funny. Our parents spend so much time in caring for us. When they ask for your help, obey without a fuss. The mouth should be used for only good things. When you daven and say brachot, kedusha it brings. Rabbi Tarfon was a great Talmid Chacham who taught very many Talmidim. Rabbi Tarfon had an old, sick mother. He took care of her with lots of love and devotion. Taking care of his mother was his job. He did not allow anyone else to do it instead of him. Rabbi Tarfon was not ready to give up such an important mitzvah, as it is Kibud Av V'Em, honoring one's mother. There were even times when he was in the middle of learning with his Talmidim, and he would see that his mother needed help getting off her bed. He would immediately stop learning and rush over to her. He would crouch down near the bed and say, "Please, dear mother, step down on my back. I will serve as a step, and it will be so much easier for you to get down." And his weak mother would listen to her son and get onto his back. The same thing would happen when she wanted to get back into bed. Again, Rabbi Tarfon would stop whatever he was doing and he'd rush to his mother's aid. But Rabbi Tarfon's mother suddenly felt much better and stronger. Warm rays of sun poured into the room, and the cheerful sounds of chirping birds could be heard through the open window. She got out of bed carefully and went over to her son. "I would like to go for a short stroll in the garden," she told him. Rabbi Tarfon's joy was very great. "Another mitzvah for me to do," he exclaimed happily. Slowly and carefully his mother went out into the garden, all the while holding on to her righteous son's hand. After a short while, she began to feel tired again and asked her son to help her back onto her bed. On the way back, her shoe suddenly tore, and she was left barefoot. Oh no! How could she ever get back to the house with only one shoe? It was impossible to repair it because it was Shabbat. Rabbi Tarfon did not have to think for too long. He bent down, placed his hand on the ground, and told his mother to step on his hand instead of having to step on the cold ground with her bare foot. And that's how they walked until they were back in the old woman's room. The respectable Rabbi Tarfon, who taught Torah to so many people, walking bent with his hand under his mother's foot? The Torah teaches us in ways that are clear how important it is to honor our parents so dear. There are some things we must avoid in order to show our respect. Calling them by their names does not have the proper effect. When your mother or father tells you to do something, you should do it right away and do it happily too. There is a very great reward that Hashem promises all those who obey this very important mitzvah of Kibud Av V'Em. Leman Ya'arichun Yamecha, a long, fulfillful life. When Miss Shimon, the elderly neighbor from down the block, comes to visit, Yossi and his brothers immediately get to work, making her comfortable, sitting her down on the couch, and offering her a drink. Miss Shimon visits often. She enjoys chatting with Yossi's mother, and the boys know that it is a mitzvah in the Torah to honor and show respect for elderly people. As soon as Miss Shimon is ready to go back home, Yossi fetches her jacket. He holds onto her arm and he walks her all the way back to her house. He even goes in with her to make her comfortable at home as well. There is another elderly person who enjoys the respect that he gets from Yossi and his brothers. Mr. Blau spends most of his time sitting on the bench in the park watching the young children at play. Every time Yossi and his brothers are at the park, they make sure to spend a few minutes sitting near the elderly man and chatting with him. If you'll ask Mr. Blau, he'll tell you that the highlight of his day is when the boys at the park sit down near him. "These children are tzaddikim," Mr. Blau announces to everyone who passes by. "I wish there were more like them." Many reeds grow by the shore of the river. Every morning, a group of workers arrive at the river bank and work all day cutting the reeds. In the evening, as soon as the sun sets, they return to the city and sell the reeds to the city's residents. The people use them to weave mats in different kinds of baskets. The workers are all good friends. They help each other when the need arises and divide their earnings evenly between them. Every lunchtime, all the workers put the food they have brought from home in a large basket. All the food is then divided out evenly among the workers. The waters in the river were flowing peacefully. The sun was shining, smiling at the world as the workers cut the reeds, all the while singing cheerfully. Benny was hard at work when he suddenly noticed that Yosef, one of the workers, was not singing merrily with his friends, and his eyes appeared to be very sad. Why is Yosef so quiet today? Benny wondered. Perhaps he hasn't brought food from home and is ashamed to take from the basket. It was no secret that Yosef was very poor. Sometimes he didn't even have enough money for food to feed his large family. Soon it was time for lunch. The hungry workers sat down and began preparing to eat. It's my turn to collect the food today, Benny announced as he quickly took the basket before someone else would beat him to it. Benny went from worker to worker and collected the food. When Yosef's turn came, he bent down and pretended to take food from Yosef's hands. Then he placed a loaf of bread in the basket, but in truth, it was the loaf of bread that he himself had brought from home. When Benny took his share from the basket, he took less than usual, so that the others would not notice that there was a portion missing. Because of Benny's thoughtfulness, Yosef was spared from being embarrassed. The meal was over within a few minutes, and the workers got up and continued to work. Benny's stomach was not quite satisfied, but Benny himself felt wonderful, knowing that he had done something really kind that day. Benny had performed the very important mitzvah of V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. He knows that this mitzvah is very important to Hashem and that Hashem will reward him for it. And in fact, the reward was quick in coming. That very evening, when he was back at home unpacking his bundle, he discovered a poisonous snake lying dead among the reeds. Benny was in shock. Why he must have killed the snake when he was cutting the reeds. It was frightening to think that he had actually been so close to a poisonous snake. All at once, Benny remembered the mitzvah that he had done at lunchtime. He understood that Hashem had saved him from death, all in the merit of the important mitzvah of loving your friend as you love yourself. Thank you for learning the Parsha with me this week. I hope you enjoyed. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Bye.
Bye.